the one team I got to bring up, which is anybody else like deluding themselves into this shit show called the Brooklyn Nets? Like, my God, like seriously, like we got KD, we got Kyrie, we got Ben Simmons. Like, oh, it's gonna be a long year there. I can't see anything good coming of this. You?
I think we've sort of lost the track in what makes good teams, right? There are occasions where you can throw together the three most talented people and they get along. And there are enough basketballs to share or pucks to share or whatever else, right? But that's pretty rare. It's not very often that you go back and you look and think, if you look at the team that is clearly the most talented team, in basketball, I would say it happens more than it happens in any other sport because basketball has become such an individual sport, right?
Right.
But if you have three guys that are all kind of head cases and all seem to be me first, you second, or maybe me again, and then you third, I don't know how do you hope to build that into a winner, right? Plus, I guess as long as you win once, it doesn't make any difference, right? Then, oh, we won the title, right? But I kind of thought when I first moved here, like around 2005 or 2006, I was driving home one night. I lived in Richmond Hill at the time, and I was listening to the fan. And they were talking about it was the end of the season, and they were talking about close to the end of the season. It was a trade deadline for the Leafs. And if we go out and pick up this guy or that guy, we can get into the playoffs. And I don't ever do this, especially as somebody who used to host talk shows, because I don't want to listen to people call in because most of the people who call in are morons. I pulled over at a rest stop and I called in and they put me on. And I said, so I have a question because I just moved here. Do you guys not ever want to win the Stanley Cup? And the guy was like, I think it was actually Sid Sixeros, but he was like, what? And I was like, so you want to trade away a first round draft pick and a prospect to get some old dude who might get you into the playoffs so you get your ass handed to you in the first round.
Welcome to Toronto, Wayne.
How does that help you? You made the playoffs for 2 games and got swept. Maybe you get lucky and you run all the way to the second or third round. Maybe you pull in Edmonton that year and go all the way to the finals. And then you're no good again. When are you going to build a culture, right? And people called in after that and they said, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I was like, 15, 20 years on, I'm pretty sure I knew what I was talking about. You eventually you have to worry about team culture and team building, which is exactly why probably the Dodgers don't want Trevor Bauer back in the locker room right now, right?
Shouldn't have wanted him there in the first place.
Right. So you have all these great, amazing players, but if they can't share the ball and if they can't understand that somebody's going to have to take a secondary role, you're just going to fight all year long amongst yourselves, and you're going to be bad. You're just not going to be very good. You might make the playoffs on the sheer talent that you have, but I think somebody else is going to be better than you in a 7-game series and with a good team, right?
I had a ton of people on social media harping on me and my partner David Corman when we had one of our last episodes. We were talking about KD and talking about why the Raptors will be a good team without KD. And there is no reason to rip apart this team for KD. And Scotty Barnes, rookie of the year, plus that it would take. So you're going to rip out the heart and soul of your team. You're going to bring a guy older, injured, malcontent. This can only go badly. This will not go well. And we're saying, you know what? He is a good player. And if he was healthy and if he had his head on straight, by all means, great. Add him on as an extra piece. Bring him on like a, whatever contract. But to actually gut out your team for him, I think we're better off with what we got than having him. And people were losing their minds on us.
Look, I 100% understand. If you think Kevin Durant is going to win you a title, even after you give away all that stuff, Scotty Barnes and whatever else has to go Siakam or whatever. And I'm not married to any individual player on the Raptors roster, right? I have a lot of faith in Nick Nurse and his coaching staff. I have a lot of faith in Masai Ujiri. That faith tells me that unless Masai Ujiri can absolutely pull one over on the Nets. If you can get Kevin Durant for a stupidly low number or a stupidly low return, okay, I'm willing to take that shot, right? But aside from that, no. Like I don't even want to give a decent return for him because I don't think he's good for the team, and he's not Nick Nurse's kind of guy. He's not Masai Ujiri's kind of guy. I just wonder how much of this has just been. You remember we were talking. I was talking about this with somebody the other day when Yu Darvish was coming over from the Japanese league, right?
Yes, yes,
And everybody was in on Yu Darvish,
yes.
and the Blue Jays said, "Oh yeah, we're in, we're in, we're in." And it turned out they were $40 million below the winning offer. But for a long time, Jays fans were like, "Hey, look at the effort they're making. They're in on you, Darvish, right?" I wonder how much of this is just they don't have any interest in Kevin Durant unless they hand him to him. But why not just let I don't see Ujiri and Nurse saying much about it, but every time I open up an app, there's a story in there about, oh, here's the possible trade for Kevin Durant. Dude, unless it comes from Masai or Nick or somebody like that, it's just hot air, right? It's people filling time. And I just can't see that. Like I said, unless it's an absolute steal for the Raptors. And even then, I think you really have to think about it.
Look, the way
You know,
Masai operates, also, he's not going to tell you. It's you're gonna
no.
find out about it when it's done.
Yep.
And he keeps it close to his vest, and that's called being a smart GM slash president, which he is now.